This is a Fox News alert. A new plan to build America's largest detention center for illegal children and immigrants. The plan is for 3,500 beds. So where will it go? Is it near you? On the Record has all those answers. You'll get to them in a second. But developing now, the border exposed. The government regulations making it impossible for border agents to secure our southern border. On the Record's on the ground getting the story for you. In a moment, Donald Trump right here and on the Record. But first, inside the developing crisis.
They're coming because they believe they're getting amnesty.
There are only so many kids in Central America who can make the harrowing journey and get here.
Many of these children disappear along the way. They're enslaved.
My view is that we ought to say to these children, welcome to America. You're going to go to school and get a job and become Americans.
This is a humanitarian crisis, but is the direct consequence of President Obama's lawlessness.
I don't expect this president to do anything worthwhile unless he can raise money off of it.
And Donald Trump joins us. Nice to see you, Donald.
Hello, Greta.
So, Donald, you've been quoted as saying, in essence, the immigration crisis has to be some kind of concerted effort by President Obama to get migrant children into the system. Is that essentially a correct quote? If so, what do you mean by that?
Well, it must be, because frankly, nothing like this could happen. I mean, nobody can be that incompetent to allow what's happening to happen. So it must be a concerted effort. There's no other way that you can think of it. And they come into the system, and over a period of many years, they become Democrats, and they vote for the Democrats. But this is a concerted effort because nobody can be as incompetent as it's showing. People are flowing through Mexico. They're flowing through like crazy. I'm hearing stories where actually the parents come through in a different line, and they all meet up in the United States and get plenty from the United States. So it's a very serious problem. It's a horrible problem for children, but a very, very serious problem for this country. There's no question about it.
Well, are you saying then that President Obama is doing this to get a Democratic vote? And if so, these are children. It's going to be like 8 or 10 years before anyone would be of age, assuming that they got citizenship. But, you know, it's an awful long vision. President Obama's not going to be elected again.
Well, it's not only children that are coming through, though, Greta. I mean, we see the children, and the children's heartbreaking to watch what's going on. But it's also a lot of other people are coming, and they've been coming through for years. And it wouldn't be hard to stop. They're all coming through Mexico. By the way, you cannot become a citizen of Mexico if you're not already there. They have one of the toughest policies of anybody. So they just let them. It's called the highway. Mexico's called the highway to the United States. And all you have to do, I mean, if we had the proper leadership, they would call or speak to Mexico and the leadership of Mexico, and believe me, it would stop quickly. We give Mexico so much in terms of economic development, in terms of jobs. We give tax abatement if you open up in Mexico. It's ridiculous, but we give it. And with all that we give them, we can't even get our soldier that you cover probably better than anybody. We can't even get our Marine out of prison, and he's being beat to hell in Mexico prisons. He's the only one that can't get into the United States from Mexico.
Well, it's in light of the fact that immigration policy is supposed to be set on the national level. At least that's what the courts say, and that's what the president says and everybody else says. Do you think that the president of the United States should be headed off to Martha's Vineyard, the House and the Senate taking their 5-week vacation when they have a crisis that they themselves call a humanitarian crisis, and they themselves caused themselves by not setting a policy? Should they go on their vacations or stay here and work?
Well, you have more than one problem in this country. I mean, this is one, and this is a beauty, but you have many problems all over the world, and the United States is involved in many of them. Not any of them are getting solved. You look at what happened with the wealth of families, where they're down 30–35% from what they were many years ago. The family's wealth in this country is way down from what it was. You look at the things that are going on in the United States, and very soon we're not going to be a great country anymore. I mean, there are those that say that we're not already. But you look at what's going on, and I would say a 5-week vacation is a long time, and I would say that if the country's in trouble, and it is in serious trouble, I guess you're supposed to be working.
What do you make of Mayor Rahm Emanuel? He wants to expand the number to bring into Chicago of some of these children.
Well, it's the wrong signal. Look, I love Chicago as a city. Chicago is getting a very, very terrible rap. They have a lot of problems in Chicago with the guns and everything else. It's confined to certain sections. Nobody talks about that. Chicago is a city that I happen to have property in Chicago, and I love Chicago. And it's really a great city in many ways, but it's going through a very big problem. I don't think this is sending out the right signal, absolutely. And I would imagine he wished he didn't say it. It's just the wrong time for him to be saying that as the mayor of Chicago, unfortunately.
And later, Donald Trump and the NFL. Is he buying a team? And is it yours? The Donald tells you himself in just a bit. And developing now, the surge in a number of children pouring into cities across the United States, showing no signs of slowing down. And now a massive shelter could be built in West Texas, making it the largest detention center in the United States. KFOX's Joshua Zuber is in Clint, Texas right now. Joshua, is that where the plan is to build one?
Yeah, absolutely, Greta. We're just outside of the town of Clint here. It's a very small town here in West Texas, just off the I-10 here, the interstate. And it would, in fact, be the largest shelter in the country, housing more than 3,500 undocumented, unaccompanied minors. And as we've been reporting, of course, all of them coming from Central America here. This facility, I've been talking to officials here with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. They said they've never heard of anything like this here. And in fact, they have the application to get this thing started, but they really can't do much about it because, as you just mentioned, there's nothing behind me right here. But once it is built, they can start inspecting it, but they also have to get it fully staffed. Staffing, Greta, would be huge for this thing. We're talking about a ratio of 1 staff member to 8 unaccompanied minors. So that equates to more than 400 people that would have to be hired here to get this thing started.
All right, Joshua, is Texas a big state? I don't need to tell you. There must be dozens of empty buildings in Texas. Can't they find an empty building in Texas, number one, so you don't have to spend like a year building one, and plus we don't have to be wasteful? And secondly, is it a Texan company that has, does someone have a contract to build this? What's the story on this?
As far as we know, we do not know the name of the company that would build this potential shelter here. It's out of New York, from what we understand here. Now, you bring up a great point here. The mayor of Clint, again, this is right outside of the town of Clint, brought that up. He's like, we got tons of unoccupied buildings that could be used here to shelter these migrant children here, but it's just a matter of figuring out the best way to do it. And of course, he's going to be working with local, state, and national officials to try to figure that out as well. So again, Greta, a lot of this just in the proposal stage, the exploratory stage here. And of course, we're working to get more answers here to bring that, of course, to your viewers.
All right, well, I can't imagine they can't find some abandoned college with a dormitory they could fix up, or a nursing home that's gone under or something. But instead, they got to get a company out of New York and build something brand new. Go figure. Anyway, Joshua, thank you.
Go figure. Thank you, Greta.
And nearly 800 miles of our border is unpatrolled. Why? Well, the Hill's Timothy Kama joins us. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Greta.
All right, so 800 miles is unpatrolled. Totally unpatrolled?
Well, that's sort of the question that that I looked at for this story. You know, 800 or so miles of the border, which accounts for about 40% of our southern border with Mexico, is federally owned land, be it wilderness, refuges, national parks, national monuments. So Republicans lately have been saying that the Border Patrol officers from Customs and Border Protection aren't able to get in there and do their jobs.
But why not? If we own the land, and these are our federal Border Patrol, is there a problem? Are they going to, like, is wildlife is going to leave the area? I mean, I don't, you know, what's the problem?
Well, the problem is a lot of this land is set aside as, you know, as wilderness. But, you know, the Democrats who are looking at this issue say they don't really see the problem here, because there's a memorandum of understanding between the Department of the Interior, which oversees most of this land, and Customs and Border Protection that kind of says they have to work together towards their mutual goal, towards their goals of protecting the border, protecting the environment, all of these things. So
why aren't they doing it if they've got a memorandum of understanding? So, like, how about doing it?
Well, you know, a lot of people say that they are doing it, but you know, that's sort of unclear. The Republicans in the House have put forward a proposal that would make it even clearer that Customs and Border Protection takes priority over the Department of Interior and the Department of Agriculture, which oversees the forests, when it comes to these sort of disputes over, you know, can we get trucks in there? Can we build a road? Can we put communications equipment? Things like that, to make it clear that securing the border is a priority.
All right, what year does this date back to, by the way, this memorandum? You have any idea?
This was 2006.
All right, so this is in the Bush 43 administration, and the Obama administration is now enforcing or has the responsibility to try to fix and work it up, make it work with Congress.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. So it arose really, in the last decade when there was a lot of talk about securing the border fence, things like that, because really at the time Homeland Security felt that they needed more authority to do what they needed to do. So that's sort of what they're working on. But a lot of Republicans in the House and Senate don't think that that's enough, and they don't think that it's working well enough to secure the border.
And if they just all sort of walked across the hill or walked across the hall or drove down the street, they probably could work this out one way or the other if they ever bothered, right?
They probably could.
What a town. Anyway, thank you very much, Timothy.
Thank you, Greta.
And now a disturbing prediction. Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee saying children are likely to die at the U.S. border. Thousands and thousands of children, as temperatures rise in August, are expected to make the journey without much water from Central America to our border. That weather this time of year, and there is absolutely brutal. Joining us is Border Patrol Agent Sean Moran. Nice to talk to you, Sean.
Good to be back, Greta. Thank you.
So tell me, this is a real problem with these children, and I mean a health crisis, is it not?
It is. This is something that we see every year and we prepare for with our search and rescue teams. Anywhere along the southwest border and even on some parts of our northern border, you can succumb to exposure very easily, even when you're just feet north of the border.
And I suppose these kids they're coming across, the unaccompanied minors are coming across, and the coyotes that are bringing them across, they're not great caregivers either. They're not particularly concerned.
No, the only thing they're concerned about is getting paid, and it shows in their tactics. If they were concerned with the welfare of the children crossing the border, they would have them surrender at a port of entry, but instead they're having them surrender to Border Patrol agents to further tie us up so that the cartels can move their drugs around the periphery and make more profits.
Well, this has always been a problem, but now with the surge of children, it's going to be a larger problem. So what is Mexico doing? Because they're coming through Mexico. Are they providing any water or any help to these children?
You know, that I don't know. In the past, they've had a group called Grupo Beta, which was there to assist illegal aliens that were waiting to cross into the U.S. But, you know, the Border Patrol has gone a long way in the past 20 years to get search and rescue teams, EMTs, paramedics in place, more air assets, so that they can assist and have agents there should somebody get into distress from the heat or any type of exposure.
Well, imagine how much less a burden it would be on our Border Patrol with these children coming up dehydrated and very sick if Mexico did something more, because it's a long journey through Mexico. Mexico is very hot. And we have no information if Mexico is in any way trying to at least alleviate some of the humanitarian crises that make the journey. Is that where we are?
That's correct. It would be good if Mexico did something to disrupt the flow of people coming through its country trying to get to the United States. But, you know, Border Patrol agents, we will be on duty. We don't take 5 weeks off. We will be here doing our jobs, and that includes rescuing people, especially kids who probably don't know survival skills and you know, are going through a very difficult period trying to get into the U.S.
And I applaud all of you for not taking 5 weeks off. It wasn't your humanitarian crisis that you created by not doing your job. You're actually trying to pick up the pieces because our politicians didn't do their job. So anyway, thank you, and good luck to you and also your colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much.